Listen to Marco Essomba at BlockAPT being interviewed by Andy Williams at the Transatlantic Cybersecurity Business Network. Some great insights with Marco in the spotlight. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome. My name is Andy Williams and I'm the chair of TCBN, Transatlantic Cybersecurity Business Network. And today it's my pleasure to be talking with Marco Essomba, the founder and CTO of BlockAPT, which is a TCBN Council member company. BlockAPT's mission is to help organizations monitor, protect, and future-proof their digital assets. Marco, welcome, and thanks for talking with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
I'd like to start by asking you what being a member of TCBN means for BlockAPT.
For us, for the company, as a startup, also as a technology and cybersecurity company, the ecosystem that the TCBN provides essentially enhances, what we're already doing today. Again, as a provider of, an enterprise solution, that ecosystem, again, as a young company is quite crucial, not just from the expertise, the feedback that we're getting from other members, within the group, but more importantly, also the, the opportunities that the network opens, as a company.
Thanks, Marco. So you are widely recognized as an influential leader in the cyber community with a very large following on social media. What first got you interested in cybersecurity and how did you pursue that dream?
Yeah, I think my interest in cyber is quite interesting because it goes a long way. When I was back in Cameroon, because I was born in Cameroon in Central Africa. And initially, I wanted to be an architect, right? So I trained as in college on one of the engineering schools. And then one day I went to the computer room. We used to have a small computer room and then discover computers. And I never looked back from then on. It's kind of more or less a bit of a hook and a drug. And then from then on, I went back to say to my parents, I don't want to be an architect. I want to be able to program these computers. And I think that's really where this comes from back of when I was 15. And then obviously I went to, in the UK, I went to, to college, to university, to specialize in then obviously cybersecurity. That's kind of more or less my geeky path, from all the way back from secondary school to today.
So looking today at what the threat landscape is looking like, what do you, Marco, see as the biggest cybersecurity threats that are facing businesses now?
As a small company, as a startup, growing startup, we're also facing the same security challenges. But what I've seen consistently is obviously the rise of ransomware, which is essentially where the cybersecurity or the cyber threat or cyber attacks, is no longer just done, for like a little kid sitting in the back of his garage, trying to poke into computers. This is now a business, right? And we have a lot of these cyber criminals entities, run as a business, and therefore ransomware, is the weapon of choice, of today. So this is certainly on top of the list, when it comes to, I would say cyber criminals, but also at the government levels, again, cyber is also becoming quite a very, very powerful, I'll use the word double quotes, weapon, as we've seen with what's happening in the war in the Ukraine and Russia. And we can see how the cyber side is essentially being used to essentially destabilize, but also to be inflict damage when it comes to digital infrastructure. So certainly ransomware and also the threat actors, at government levels, this is something quite significant and worth mentioning as a topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a related question, artificial intelligence is with us today, of course. But how would you see this evolving in the future, Marco?
I think the reality is we have to use, machine learning and AI to essentially, fight against these type, some of the very, very sophisticated attacks. I mean, from where I sit, again, as an engineer, as a consultant solution architect, we already have quite a lot of tools, within our arsenal, within the enterprise, be it endpoint, vulnerability scanning, intrusion detection system. So these are point solutions that are already essentially available and very effective. However, the ability to have these things coordinated and working well together we definitely need the AI and machine learning dimension to essentially be able to have these systems working together. So I think AI is going to play a very, very key role, but it's not just one side, right? It's also, there's a reverse to that, because the bad guys, are also using AI to be able to automatically detect some of the flows and also inflict damage when it comes to ransomware, and also what I mentioned earlier. So essentially, it's a two-way play, right? In the same way that we are using AI to defend our system, and we have to, simply because humans can't keep up, with the amount of the rate of attacks. It's just not scalable. AI is going to help, automating those parts, but also could also be used in the context of attacking systems. So essentially, it's going to be machine fighting machines, and AI is going to be right at the core of that.
Yeah. Looking into the crystal ball over the next, say, 12 months or so, Marco, what are the top 4 or 5 predictions that you have in terms of what you think is coming along in the cybersecurity world in the next 12 months?
Yeah, so a very good question. I think on the defending side, if you're on the other side of trying to protect a system, automation is going to be key. Because the rate at which these attacks are coming, from and also getting more and more sophisticated. We need to have enterprise and obviously governments. They will need to have the ability to automate the way these defenses are essentially done. So automation is going to play a key role, but also a lot of these systems are working in isolation, and this is still the case today, right? Because when I go to clients, they have a lot of tools, but those tools are working in silo. I think this year, more and more, when you combine, what we mentioned earlier on the AI and automation, we are going to see more and more essentially enterprise embracing, this coordinated type of defense rather than a siloed approach, which has been, prevalent in the past few years. So I say automation and essentially, central management and central orchestration is going to be key, for the, for enterprise to keep up, in the next 12 to 24 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, on that, what does BlockAPT have that others do not have in helping organizations to secure their IT infrastructure?
Yeah, no, thank you. I think in terms of the what we're trying to do, the BlockUp was created essentially as at the back of my own hands-on expertise. Again, working for small, medium, enterprise, large, and also government. And consistently, what's happening is that these point solutions are essentially used within the enterprise, but they are not really working well together. So what the BlockUp brings, like I say, without trying to reinvent the wheel, okay, we are coordinating, bringing together, integrating these, disparate and point solution to essentially give enterprise, the chance to fight much more effectively. So what we bring to the table is, like I said, single pane of glass and coordinating all of these different tools, because ultimately, like I said, the future is going to be machine fighting machines, and you need to have an effective way to essentially leverage all your security assets, if I can use that term. So that's effectively what we have today, and for which we are pushing within the enterprise and government space.
Do we have any hints and tips for the SMEs as to what they can be doing to make themselves more secure and therefore less likely to be a vector for supply chain risk with the large enterprises that they support?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I think we do have a number of SME clients, and the advice is always the same in terms of really start with the basics, right? Again, I'm going to give you some very specific examples, something like two-factor authentication, onto all your external facing systems, including, what is website, VPNs, I think that's key, right? Again, for an SME, this could be done fairly, fairly quickly. It's just a case of our awareness. Now, if you can already do that, there is a significant amount of attacks that you can fall, again, just by following the best practice.
So Marco, it's been great talking with you today. Thanks again for your time, and very much look forward to working with you as a TCBN member going forward.
Thank you very much, Andy, for having me.